Welcome to part 1 of the lecture series on the real numbers. In this section, we will introduce the real numbers by looking at the types of numbers that belong to the two sets that make up the real numbers.
We will begin with an introduction to the real numbers. Real numbers are the numbers that can be represented on the real number line. There are infinitely many numbers on the real number line. We, of course, can only see the numbers that are labeled on the line itself. There are numbers such as 1/2, which is between 0 and 1, 3.5, which is between 3 and 4, and -3/2, which is between -2 and -1. And of course, there are infinitely many more numbers between the numbers that we see here. The arrow on the left indicates that the numbers go to negative infinity, and the arrow on the right indicates that the numbers go to positive infinity. Infinity is not actually a number. It is just a term used to describe an unlimited quantity extended indefinitely. There are two distinct main sets within the set of real numbers: the set of rational numbers and the set of irrational numbers. Together, these two sets make up the entire set of real numbers. We will discuss in detail what numbers belong to these two sets later in the presentation. It is important to note numbers that are not in the set of real numbers are called imaginary numbers. These numbers belong to a different set of numbers that are not part of the real number system. An imaginary number will result when we take the square root of a negative number. So we must avoid the square root of a negative number. We will see this later in the presentation. We are only dealing with real numbers in this section. I would now like to introduce you to what I call the House of Reals. There are only two rooms in the House of Reals. In one room are the rational numbers, and in the other room are the irrational numbers. In the room containing the rational numbers are three smaller sets of numbers called subsets. The first subset, which we can look at as a closet in the rational room, contains the set of integers. The set of integers contains such numbers as 0, 1, -1, 2, -2, and infinitely many more numbers such as these. The second subset is contained inside the integers and is called the set of whole numbers. The set of whole numbers contains the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. The third subset is contained inside the whole numbers and is called the set of natural numbers. The set of natural numbers contains the numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. The other numbers that are outside the closet of integers are both positive and negative numbers that may be written as a fraction or a decimal. Examples of numbers that would be in this part of the room are 1/2, -1/3, 2.73, -1.25, and infinitely many more numbers such as these. In the second room are the irrational numbers. This room contains numbers that cannot be written as the fractions that are written in the rational room. This room contains the real numbers that we do not normally use in our everyday lives. It contains numbers such as pi, the square root of 2, the number e, the square root of 5, and infinitely many more numbers that cannot be written in the form of the rational numbers. Later in this series, we will define both rational and irrational numbers and how they can be written. As we proceed, it is important to remember there are two rooms in the house of reals. We will see the subsets in the rational room quite often, so try to visualize the set of integers as a closet in the rational room, which contains both the whole numbers and the natural numbers, and outside the closet are numbers that can be written as fractions or decimals only. In this section, we will look at symbols often used to represent sets. Real numbers are usually organized into sets using what is known as set notation. A set is a collection of objects or elements. The elements in a set may be numbers, letters, names, states, or any other set of elements or objects. At this time, we will only look at common symbols used to represent the set of reals and some of the subsets of the real numbers that are listed in the house of reals. The bold capital R represents the set of real numbers. The bold capital Q represents the set of rational numbers. The bold capital Z represents the set of integers. And the bold capital N represents the set of natural numbers. There is no special symbol for the set of whole numbers. We will actually just use the letter W. There is also no special symbol for the set of irrational numbers.